Okay, you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, good. So we'll go in three, two, one. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the show. Now, if you're watching this interview anywhere else but within our private community called High Ticket Client Attraction Insider Circle, then we'd love to have you. The group was put together specifically for coaches, consultants, service providers who are serious about getting consistent high ticket clients to their businesses and scale into that 7 figure level. So if that's you, we'd definitely love to have you in our private Facebook community called High Ticket Client Attraction Insider Circle. Now, with that being said, I have a friend here, Barbara, who's our guest here today. And Barbara, she has a really interesting last name. So, Barbara, tell us your last name. How do you pronounce it? Because I tried to pronounce it right before, and I was like, "Whoa!" But how do you pronounce it?
Yes. And in Dutch, you pronounce it schouten. So
Sh-
the sound is a very harsh sound that's native to the Dutch people, but it's very hard for foreigners to pronounce. So my last name is usually an obstacle for everybody is outside of the Netherlands, basically.
yes, yes. I think for me today, you'll just be Barbara. Is that okay? Lovely. Okay, good. And you said you're in the Netherlands, right?
Yes, I am.
Mhm. Does it snow back there?
It's warm at the moment. It's about 20 degrees Celsius.
Yeah,
So
but
for us,
does it ever snow?
yes, in the winter.
Okay, okay, cool, awesome. So tell us, Barbara, what is it that you do?
I am a transformation coach for what I call intuitive, ambitious aliens.
Hmm.
And I wanted to find something that described the people that I worked with in a unique way. And what I mean with the terms is the people that have always felt like they were different than everybody else,
Hmm.
not fitting in, always being quicker with their thinking, thinking outside the box, just different than most people, maybe even feeling like there was something wrong with them or that they were weird or strange, and that have tried to mold themselves into being a person that they think society will accept
Hmm.
and is now experiencing the growing pains of that not working, and how do I then go upon with my life.
Okay, good, good. Now, how long have you been doing this?
I've been doing this for almost as long as you have. I started also in 2013.
Yeah. Oh goodness, we got the same start then.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. I guess hopefully your journey wasn't as rough as as rough as my journey getting started, right?
Well, I think every journey might be a bit rocky. Mine was also certainly with a lot of challenges, but it contests to true entrepreneurial spirit that we are both still here, I think.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I definitely believe that the entrepreneurial journey is one of those where you just really can't predict it. It's really like the beginning, like this roller coaster where things work, they don't work, they work, they don't work, they work, they don't work. And you have to be able to, I guess, have the thick skin to be able to keep going that path, because if not, it's just too competitive and there's just too much to do to be able to keep up in this I guess arena, right?
Yes, true.
Yeah.
I always say if you really want to get to know yourself, become an entrepreneur.
Brilliant, love it, awesome. So in essence, so you said you've been doing it since about 2013. Now, what got you into wanting to do this type of work in the first place?
Well, that's an interesting story because I used to work in IT. I was a programmer, so it's completely different from what I'm doing right now.
Right.
And it actually was because of my job. I ended up eventually in a severe burnout because I am both a perfectionist, wanting to do everything to the best of my ability. I raised the bar really high, especially for myself, or at least I used to. I've learned to be milder in that regard, but I used to. And I was doing a really difficult project with difficult clients, and it was a lot of pressure, a lot of stress. And then my relationship of 7 years suddenly ended, and I found myself in a burnout, completely doubting myself, doubting who I was, my decisions, the path that took me to where I was, but also where I should go after, what the future would look like, if I would ever get out of it. And it was a real trying time with a lot of emotions and a lot of crying and a lot of fatigue and just a whole bunch of a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And it got me thinking, do I want to continue this way? Do I want to keep on doing this, or do I want something else? So I went soul searching. And in that period, I also discovered that I am highly sensitive. And that to me was the answer to why I always felt different and why I never felt that I fit in. And I started thinking, what makes me tick? What is it? What in my current line of work, or what can I imagine that really gets my juices flowing, that really grabs my attention? What would I, in the ideal world where everything's possible, what would I want to do? And after talking to a lot of people and doing a lot of Googling and searching and reading, I came up with that I wanted to make a difference in other people's lives. I couldn't think of anything better than having people come to you with problems that you are able to solve. Seeing that transformation in that person, seeing them go from sometimes miserable and down and burned out and a fragment of themselves, and see them bloom into this beautiful, powerful version um, of themselves. And it's amazing to see that transformation. And that's when I decided that's what I want to do. I want to do something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's how the ball started. And then you develop and you learn and you grow and you change your perspective, or the things that you tune your dream, but you go for it.
Mm-hmm. So powerful. And that's what one thing you hit on right now is um, watching someone else, like being able to help someone else and see someone else make a transformation in their life. I believe that's one of the most freeing things anyone could really experience. I know for myself, as I coach my clients in the world too, because my biggest thing is where I help individuals is just in the financial realm, as far as coaches, consultants, because most of them come from a place of really struggling and they've been at it for years. They've tried a lot of different things to try to get the consistent, whether it's monthly incomes and those different things, and they just haven't been able to figure it out. And seeing that struggle to where when you help someone solve that problem and now they feel like they come from a place where they could serve the people they were meant to serve, and at the same time they're getting paid for it to where they're not worried about where money's going to come from. For me, that's the
Mhm.
biggest transformation, and I just love seeing people's faces when they are able to get that result. So I could definitely relate to how
That's the
you
best
feel when
thing,
you
right?
help your clients. Yeah, it's pretty exciting. So something you said you realized you were kind of like on your path. You realized you were a little bit different, and you were like you said I think you said highly sensitive. What do you mean by this?
Highly sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
About 20% of the world's population is highly sensitive, and that means that 80% is not. And it's not a disease or something scary. It's a personality trait or characteristic, and it means that we have the ability to process things on a much deeper level. So it also means that our sensory input, like seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, is much more finely tuned. So we get a lot more information from everything around us. And we are able to process that on a much faster and deeper level than most other people. So they sometimes also call it sensory processing intelligence, um, or just sensory intelligence, high sensory intelligence for short.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's very interesting. I think I'm on my path. I've met a couple of individuals who kind of express something similar to what you just expressed here. So I guess how has it how do you believe this has shaped your life? Has it shaped your life for the better? For what do you believe in terms of
Both, I think. What I see by myself for myself, but what I've also seen for a lot of my clients, is that in the beginning it shapes it in a bad way,
mm-hmm,
because you feel different than other people. You are different. You don't fit in. A lot of the time we are being teased or just bullied in school. You feel like you cannot be yourself because you will not be accepted. You're usually smarter than everybody else. but you're scared to show it because you are already a misfit or an outfit. And if you then show how much smarter you are, people will definitely not accept you. So it's a constant struggle with those internal emotions. And then on top of that, it's that you are very sensitive to other people's energies and moods. So normally I'm a happy, cheerful person. That's my normal disposition. But when I was younger, I could become inconsolably sad, crying my eyes out. And then my mom would ask me, "Why are you crying?" And I didn't know. And it even came to a point that they would label me a borderline person because I could go from happy to sad in 2 seconds and back. And I didn't understand that part of myself. I hated that part of myself. And then later, when I got therapy for it, eventually I found out that I was a highly sensitive person. And that means that we can take over other people's emotions. I always thought that what I feel is mine because I am feeling it. But we can actually feel other people's sadness. So I could feel your sadness, for instance, or the person next to me, or the people that I care about. So I realized in that moment that the sadness that then came over me was not my sadness. I took it over from somebody else. And that is why I also never could tell my mother why I was so sad, because it was not my sadness.
Mm-hmm.
So in the beginning, it's hell. You are also a magnet for narcissists, sociopaths, and all other energy vampires, as I call them. They love to complain and talk to you because our first instinct is to want to help other people. We are not happy if everybody around us is not happy, and we love harmony. So we are always there for everyone. And there are certain people that abuse that trait. So you feel like you're sucked dry energy wise, like you're exhausted all of the time. And you could feel constant changing emotions that you don't understand, making you not understand yourself. So in the beginning, it was hell. I tried to repress that part of myself. I always got told, "Oh, you need to grow a thicker skin," or "Don't be so sensitive. Don't take everything so personal. You need to learn to let things go," were things I heard a lot. And I always thought, yeah, don't you think I want to? You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's so easy said, but it's so hard done for a highly sensitive person when you don't learn that you are highly sensitive and that you can learn to control it.
Mm-hmm.
So the start, my first 32 years, it was really in a negative sense, occupying a space, a big space in my life. But once I found out that I am highly sensitive and I started to read about it, it felt like a whole new world opened up to me. I realized I am not weird. I'm not strange. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm just highly sensitive. That means that certain things just work a little bit different for me than for other people. But it doesn't make me worse or a bad person or better or a good person. It makes me different. But that's not wrong or bad. And I started to learn everything I could about it. And I started going to fora and I read stories of other highly sensitive people. Connecting with like minded people, with your kin, with your tribe was amazing. And you started to learn things about the trait and how it worked for me and why things for me worked in a different way than for somebody else, and how I could use that in my life. And then things started to turn around. I started to come into my power. I started to become proud of myself, proud of the fact that I am different, proud of the fact what that means and what I can do with it and how many people I can help. And that made such a big difference in my life. And now I use it to help other people, to help myself, but also to create just this wonderful life for myself. So it is now turned to, I think, maybe the most positive thing in my life.
Mm-hmm. So powerful, so powerful. I think this is a powerful message, which is what you just shared here, because I'm just listening to your story right now. It seems like on the path when you first were younger, when you were first trying to understand, because the education, because you really wasn't sure what was going on, it felt pretty difficult. But the moment you started getting the information, I'm seeking out the answers, seeking out, okay, why is it this way? What's going on here? And it seems like you ran into, whether it's mentors, through books or blogs, everything that you read, it definitely shifted that perspective for you, which is now something that most people would consider maybe a negative thing. You've now turned it into, okay, this is a positive and I can win from this. And I think that's so powerful because a lot of individuals, they're different in some way and they see that as a limiting factor, something that just keeps them back and holds them back. Versus I realize that there's other individuals who they see themselves as, in a sense, different, but they see it in a sense of, okay, I'm different and that's a good thing. And they kind of now lead off with that strength. And it seems like that's exactly where you are in your life, which is amazing. I believe that we should all come from a place of whatever makes us unique, lead in with that, right?
Yes,
So I definitely believe
definitely.
this.
Thank you.
Now, I guess, let me see, what was your process? Because I know you said you read a lot of books and stuff like that to kind of help you on your process. How did it start off for you? Did it start off with you just going to Google and just Googling? How did your transformation look in terms of figuring out exactly what you were, how you were as a person, and then leading with that? What was that transformation like for you?
Well, it started with somebody telling me, I think you are an HSP because my wife is an HSP and you are very similar. And I was like, are you calling me a name? Because I
Hmm.
didn't know what HSP meant. And I was flabbergasted, but I didn't know what to respond to it because I didn't know what it meant.
Hmm.
But it stuck with me. And then I started to Google it, the term HSP. And then I found out what it stands for. And then I went to the HSP page for Elaine Aron. She is the founding psychologist that thought of the term and started to research it. And I started to read her stories and her research. And it felt like coming home to myself. It was like, yes, yes, yes. And from there on, I bought her book. And then I started reading the fora, the where people come together to share their stories. And it was like, oh, I experienced the exact same thing that you are sharing here. Or you read a story and I thought, I haven't experienced it, but I so get you. How much recognition there was in other people and how much comfort it gave to find out that you are not weird, strange, and that there's nothing wrong with you.
Hmm.
When you've thought that for most of your life, it was amazing. And that's what I want to give back to the people that are feeling the same way. And it doesn't even need to be a highly sensitive person. Everybody that feels like they are an alien in this world, that has trouble seeing and embracing their uniqueness, is somebody I can help be the best version of themselves so that they can create a life for themselves that makes their heart sing.
Hmm. Now, I guess before we move on, what does HP stand for?
Highly sensitive person.
Okay. Awesome. So now you help individuals, as you said, you help other individuals who do have that, as far as they're highly sensitive individuals. You basically help them. What is your process for helping them?
It depends on what they want. I used to start out with one-on-one coaching. I have now created an online program for them with my best knowledge and my best everything in it, poured out in it, at a different price, obviously. And I also do group coaching. So those are the options: one-on-one coaching, online programs, or group coaching, depending on their question, their budget, their wants and needs. So there's something for everybody.
Hmm. Okay. Now, what does your program, what does your stuff help them accomplish in a sense? What's that vision that you have when someone goes through, whether it's to work with you, hire you, or just to go through your programs? What is your vision that they'll come out with on the other end?
Well, I help them to embrace their uniqueness and to step into their authentic self so that they can connect with their core, thus with their internal power, find out what their passion and their big dream is, and then create a life for themselves that gives them the utmost joy. And I believe that 90% of the time that will mean that they become an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a small group that doesn't have to become an entrepreneur because they have the level of autonomy they need in their employment to create a job that suits them to a T. But otherwise, you need to be an entrepreneur because that is the only way you can ensure that you have enough money to do what you want and have the freedom to actually also do it.
Mm-hmm. Love it, love it. And if someone wanted to get in touch with you, what is the best way for them to reach out?
They can go to my website. That's www.hspcoachbarbara with an E, so BARBERA.com.
Mm-hmm.
That will work perfectly. Or you can find me on all major social medias under the same name, HSP Coach Barbara. Or maybe I share the link with you for my calendar. That's also an option. I do virtual coffee with everybody that's interested, free of charge and no strings attached. That's also an option.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. And guys, excuse me. But guys, if you were listening in on the replay as well, too, along as a live, all the links with what Barbara just shared here, they will be right below this video, so you would be able to reach out to her if you feel a need to. And I guess with that, Barbara, so tell us one final question I'd like to leave off with. Out of everything you've done, out of all the skills you've kind of learned over the years, what do you think is the most important one, that one that you think has changed everything for you and made you the person who you are today?
Embracing who I am
Mm-hmm.
with everything that comes with it and no longer fighting it, what I used to do, but loving it and using it and being proud of it. Um, so mostly mindset, I think.
Mm-hmm. Mindset, love it. Well, Barbara, hey, appreciate you being here today. Really, really had fun having this conversation here. Any final words before we end?
Well, I loved being here. I loved your invitation. So thank you for the chance to be here and to talk with you and to all the viewers that are seeing this. And for everybody that's watching, thank you for your attention. And I hope to meet you one day.
Love it, love it. Awesome. Well, thanks again, and we shall be in touch.
Yes, we shall.
Awesome. Have a good one.
You too. Bye.
Awesome. See ya. Okay, or so. What's my mouse? Oh, there it is. Okay. My mouse disappeared on me for a second.